All right, I'm going to keep this one over here in case anybody wants to join. And we are recording. Okay, so thanks for joining, guys. Thanks for joining the weekly ProductiveBot webinar. Today we have a pretty exciting topic, which is going to be covering real use cases utilizing the most advanced frontier model that was re-released yesterday called Fable. And so what people are asking when they think about Fable is, how do I use it? How do I get the most out of it? How does it really compare? And so in this webinar, I'm going to be sharing my firsthand experiences with it. And what I wanted to do is not just, what we did last week was really go through my entire chat history as I built something. If you didn't attend last week, I know Rob, you wanted to be there. We are now pushing all of the webinars on our YouTube channel, fully trimmed, and we take out a lot of the chatter and different things that may not be as relevant, and you really get the full workflow. So if you haven't subscribed, you can be one of our first subscribers. And I think that's really what people wanted, because we get a lot of attention on our TikTok and the other socials, but usually you're limited to a very small amount of information that you can learn about this technology. And so YouTube is going to get all of these more in-depth recordings that you get here in the webinars. So what I want to do today is kind of a combination. We're going to go through some of the lessons that we've learned with building with Fable, and I'm also going to be taking Q&A. So if you guys have questions on what I did and why I did it, I'm also going to be able to pull up my entire workflow so you can see how I'm building with it specifically. And I've learned certainly a lot of lessons already, but that doesn't mean that everything I do on day one is going to be the perfect workflow, right? So these things will evolve, and there's also more than one way to do it. And so the best thing that you can leverage this time for is to just get a feel for the lessons that I've learned with it, and then you can take it from there, right? There's a lot of people that can take it much farther in their own way. And so today is going to be about, so I'm really excited to do that. I hope to spend maybe about 20 minutes on the slides and then show you maybe the workflow itself for about 10 minutes. I'm going to go very quickly. And then I want to really make sure we have enough time for you guys to ask questions and we can dive into some of the details. Let's see, you got another guest. Thought I did. This is confusing. People want to join and then sometimes it's confirmed. Okay, guess not. All right. So building ProductiveBot with Fable, what we actually learned shipping our new versions of ProductiveBot. And don't worry, if you already have a ProductiveBot, you're going to get all of these updates. If there's anything specific that you see, and lives are going to be available to you as well. So kind of how we set up our system, we have the ProductiveBot machine, right? So we're going to call that one the dev Mac. So that, attempting to join. All right. So we have the dev Mac mini, and that's where my agent actually lives. And then we have it hooked up to a test mini, and that test mini allows me to not break my own machine. And so my dev mini, which we'll call Amanda for now, for my main ProductiveBot is living, can access this other test one via Tailscale. So Tailscale is the same thing as SSH, and it also can have different abilities that I gave it, such as looking at the screen. So I did give it the ability to screenshot. I did give it the ability to, basically I try to push it as much as I could so that as I develop, it can see what I see. And the workflow that we're going to be building here is going to be part of a lot of the things that you're going to be able to do with ProductiveBot. So for example, you're going to be having Scout living inside of your ProductiveBot, and it can hopefully eventually be more easy for you to have Scout see what you see and do different things. So far, it's working really well. And so we're building that out. And so the stack that we're using is Xcode. So Xcode is part of the Mac ecosystem and still works with Claude Code. It still works with Codex. So it doesn't replace any of those, but it does make it really native, especially with the recent 2 updates that Apple released. It does make it very native for your agent to code. And I've also noticed that with Xcode, you get way less hallucination. So what I would deal with a lot before was that, when it was using like the browser, like it would open up the browser every time and show me the new web app, or, for ProductiveBot as a quick way to show me things. It would somehow, for whatever reason, like revert things or go back to an old version, or just different things would break. Okay. And so Xcode has, I don't know the full functionality and reasoning why, but it just has become very stable for me to say, edit this, edit that, and it just goes to the code, and it works really, really well. So the next thing, this is really important, is the Claude CLI. So Claude has what's called Claude Code, and Claude Code is an app that lives on your machine. It competes with OpenAI's Codex, right? So the beautiful thing about ProductiveBot is that you're not limited to anything. You can have them all on your machine. You can still have Codex, and there's times to use it. But why are we using Claude Code? The reason we're using Claude is because we want to access Fable, okay? And right now, if you're lucky enough right now to have a subscription, not API tokens, but a subscription to Claude Code, you can use your subscription to build with Fable. Fable's very, very expensive. And so I'm using Claude Code to access my subscription. And so my agent is talking to Claude Code and pushing information back and forth. And Claude Code is using my subscription. That's how that's working. Talking to my agent, I'm a big fan of the Slack interface. So when you start your ProductiveBot, you can set up what gives you 3 starting points for messaging, and then after you're up and running, then you can add whatever other messaging platform you want. We'll be adding more, but right now we don't really need to. It's just better to just set it up with Telegram or Slack or Discord, one of those 3, and then you can talk to your agent, and then you can set up WhatsApp or iMessage if you want, and your agent or Scout will help you set that up. But I like Slack a little bit more, I think, advanced in certain ways, but also way better in certain ways. So I have my 2 agents I have right now in certain threads. For this one, I have one thread that I have going with Opus. So my agent's using Opus, and then it's connecting to Claude Code, and Claude Code's using Fable. So Git for repository and where all of our code lives. And then last is we have just our memory file that our agents are saving inside of our Mac Mini. All right, I'm going to try to speed this up but that's actually important. So I wanted to spend a little bit more time there. Okay, so now we have kind of how we're dividing the label and what we've kind of figured out. So Fable is for release orchestration, cross-file review and architecture, hard bug diagnostics, failure mode review, runtime bugs, compiler, verifying judge pass. There is a document that was released by, man, this UI stinks. I'm trying to let people in. It was released by a document that was released by Anthropic on how to use Fable, and it was very helpful. So I basically fed that to our guys, getting all these alerts from people joining. So I used that document, I fed it to my agent. My agent was able to say, oh, Anthropic is recommending these best practices. Awesome, I'm gonna do that. The second thing I did is I took some threads that I liked inside of X regarding how people are using Fable or recommendations. So basically, I used our skill store. Why does it keep saying one? Okay. So basically, I used our skill store and used the skill called X Research. Now, our skill, X Research, can actually go into the X thread and all the replies. So what you can do is if somebody's saying, here's how I built it with Fable, and people in the thread are saying, oh, here's what I did, that skill is really helpful to actually get into X. Otherwise, you're going to be blocked. You're not going to get that. Okay. So what I did to prepare my bot is I said, here's Anthropic's recommendation on how to use it. And then I said, use X Research to find the best ways to use Fable and learn, right? Because my agent did not know how to use Fable out of the box. You got to kind of be aware of what your agent knows and doesn't know, okay? So that was a super easy way for me to train my agents on how to use Fable, and I still had to read those docs myself. If you just do that and not understand at least the essentials, you're gonna mess up, or it's not going to be optimal. What's one of the things that I learned? Okay, well, my agent was still wanting to control a lot of things. My agent was still wanting to do different things. Josh, can't, man. I was trying to do your Fathom, but we did record it, so we'll have your notes stuff.
It was automatic.
You're good. So my main agent working with Fable, and it kept wanting to micromanage Fable. So what I did is I said, hey, make sure you let Fable do more work. Now, the reason it wanted to micromanage Fable is because I warned my agent that we only get 50% of our subscription kind of tokens that come with our subscription. I pay $200 a month. Only up to 50% can be used by Fable. After that, we have to use the API tokens, and that becomes more expensive. So I'm like, be careful. But my agent overcorrected and was really wanting to micromanage. And so I did find myself saying, hey, take a step back, let Fable run it. And that is the best use of Fable. You just give it a goal and give it very clear. Spend like 2 to 3 hours, because this was a big thing that I was pushing for, a big release that we did for ProductiveBot. So I did go back and forth with it was running on Opus 4.8, and it wasn't cheap, but I just wanted to make sure that the first time I fully utilized Fable, I did the best possible kind of work. So anyways, preparation with my agent now knows how to use Fable, did a lot of groundwork, and then I let it run. And that's where I started to see a lot of progress happen with Fable, progress that was definitely stronger and much more capable than the other frontier models. So much better than Opus 4.8 and much better than ChatGPT 5.5. Okay, so here you have what we do as mechanical edits, one-line fixes, applying So I did notice some of the visuals and stuff like that, some of the logic on like what a customer should experience like that. I did have to tell Fable, and I'm still kind of working through that, but it's very minor. What I appreciated most is that we have a lot of back-end technology, right? Like whenever you set up your ProductiveBot, it has to go get the license. When we now set it up with ChatGPT OAuth, so you don't have to use tokens when you set up your bot. Like there's a lot of like complicated like things that are like a lot of different pieces that are moving, and that's what I really relied on, preparation plus the intelligence of Fable to string it all together and then kind of go through that motion. So I'm not going to belay this anymore, but definitely write down any questions that may come up. All right, so some of the richest lessons that I want to share. Deploy does not mean complete, so you definitely want to make sure very clear what complete means. If you don't, and it's funny because I've actually dealt with this with human developers. I've had many long and sometimes challenging conversations with developers where I think in my early days are like, well, what is done? What is complete? And you really should define that. And I think it's kind of awakening when AI tells you something too that you've heard in the past. It's like, you're right. How do you define done, right? So anyway, go through that with your agent and say, what does complete mean? Make sure you have clarity. And if you don't know, just have a conversation with it. Never trust a self-report. So I love to, even with Fable, have my second agent. And that's why ProductiveBot now comes with 2 agents, right? You want to set up 2. It's so important. Have your agents check each other. And then it's better to be a little bit more cautious, lean on the side of cautiousness. So after a big deployment's done, have your other agent take a look and then have them talk to each other, right? It does a lot of time catch a bunch of things that sometimes minor things. I will say Fable caught a couple of really small, but would have totally stopped the new release that we're working on from working, and it did catch those things. Debug is not the same as a release. So another one is verify before you spend. We did do a lot of verification and making sure that things were clear before I let Fable kind of take over. I do have 2 cost meters right now going. So basically my main agent is using Opus tokens. I think right now over the past 2 days, I've spent about $400, which is a lot. I usually don't, because I'm usually running on that ChatGPT 5.5 subscription. But given I just wanted to be Anthropic friendly and get my feels back on, where is Opus 4.8 at and where is Fable at, I did just want to kind of keep one of my 2 agents on Opus. Now my other agent is still on ChatGPT 5.5. I will definitely bring it back to 5.5, but we were in kind of a long flow, and I'm like, let's just keep it on Opus for now. And so I'm constantly refreshing my meter and my tokens, and then it does add up very quickly. And even though it's adding up quickly, as a reminder, this is still cheaper than Fable. So that's why I'm using Fable in my subscription so carefully. So, I think a lot of people are like, oh man, I'm just going to go in and use Fable. I'm like, you're just going to waste money if you don't kind of use all these lessons and do the right preparation. That's why I put in 3 hours in preparing my system. All right, and then verification has levels. So, source, package, install, boot, customer flow. So basically I've split up the way we're building out kind of some of the stuff that we're doing into chunking it. So there's a whole provisioning. So whenever you buy a ProductiveBot, the whole Mac Mini is provisioned. So there's a bunch of system settings, apps that come installed, like the way the Mini works is really built for the agent, right? So if it turns off and it turns on, like that would take hours for people to just figure out and configure on their own, right? And then there's the whole wizard setup. So we've integrated Scout into the whole setup. So you're talking to it while you're getting up and running. And then you have the app, right? The app itself after you're set up. We made a bunch of. So my point is I've segmented those 3 things, and I can kind of fully complete them, and then I'll have Fable string it all together. Okay, quick pulse check. Are you guys good so far? Everything, you guys rock and rolling? Okay. Got some head nods. Awesome. Okay. So a little bit of a couple case studies. So the wizard review harness. So my agent UI work needed its own review infrastructure, debug only on site effect, remove. I think it kind of, I had a Lovable build this for me. So this doesn't really read that well. Just double check so I don't waste time here. I'm going to skip this one for now because we got a lot to cover. All right, memory and handoffs. So there are a lot of different things that we're doing for my agents not to lose track of what they're doing. This is really important. It sucks when you're 200-300 messages in and suddenly your agent forgot. Okay. I actually have a really great announcement that I want to make. So I definitely tell you guys this all the time. When you're using your productive bot, we've built in, as you guys know, total recall. So if you notice your agent is starting to kind of lose track, just tell it to use total recall and refresh itself. It will pick things up. As I was building this, I had to call back things that we had built back in March and April that I needed to refresh for some of these new iterations. And Total Recall has like a 6-step, really awesome way to semantically search and chunk. It also goes into PDFs. It all goes into your Google Docs. It goes into everything. It doesn't do that by default. Neither platform does, nor Hermes, nor OpenClaw. So unfortunately, it doesn't just always use Total Recall by default. So if I ever just want to make sure, I just tell it, make sure you use Total Recall, and then it just does it, right? So I honestly have almost 100% batting average whenever I do that, and I notice when I don't do it. So unfortunately, I will be making updates. Obviously, we're always updating Total Recall so that it can be a little bit better. We've tried to make it so that it kind of creates those rules, but sometimes, specifically with OpenClaw, it just wants to default to memory. It's memory files. So I'm sure we'll work on that and get that going. As I was doing a lot of this with my Hermes agent. So again, my 2 agents are both running the 2 different AI agent systems, right? Long story short, recently we're finalizing testing so that no matter what you have, it'll install Total Recall. So it'll also now be working for the Hermes agent. And that's going to go for all the things that are standard skills in our skill store. It's going to work for both engines. And I think the takeaway for everybody here is that if you are building things, it's good to kind of deploy for these 2 big systems. And that is not to say that there won't be another system that comes up in the future. I know there's NanoClaw and a bunch of other kind of systems, but right now these are the 2 big dogs. So all of our skills are going to be able to fit, and you're not going to have to think about it. If you have both installed in your productive bot and you download, it's going to go to both. Anyway, so you have the coordination protocol. So you have the owner, the artifact, the thing being handed off, the verification, how well we know it works, and the stop, when to stop and escalate. When you have all these agents working with each other, sometimes they do tend to loop, right? I did this, I can confirm, I did this. So you want to avoid that. So I've found a lot of success just making sure that I tell them not to loop and have a good coordination protocol. If you don't do that, it will burn a lot of tokens because they kind of just keep going back and forth. So you want to get a feel for what that looks like with your agents. All right, with kind of Fable and things that we've seen and we've spent a little bit more time on. What a good prompt will have is a real goal, constraints and non-goals, what may or may not change, verification steps, current state, files to read, required artifact, and stop conditions. So feel free to just screenshot this and you can just give it to your agent and it will kind of know what to do with these points. At any point in time, don't feel like you have to know exactly all of this stuff. Reverse prompting, obviously, is super great. It's like, hey, here's what was recommended to work with Fable. Here's 8 points. What do you think? How do we do this? Right? And your agent will tell you. Then you tell your agent, use Total Recall to understand what I'm trying to build, and just have your agent do that thinking for you. And that's honestly one of the best parts of using this technology. That prompts include go fix everything, use the best model for all of it. It's a good way to burn a lot of money. Tell me when it's done without defining done and asking it to expose hidden reason. One bonus point here, back up what you're doing when you think you're about to go through a major milestone and just ask your agent. We were about to do the big build. Everything was ready. We were locked and loaded. He was like, you ready to get Fable going? And I said, wait, one last thing. Back up the wizard, back up everything. And it backed it up in like 3 different ways for me. So no matter what, in case Fable were to go rogue and, just break stuff that then is like super hard to untangle, it's nicely backed up. And right now, the way I'm thinking about it, guys, that you can think about it too, is because Fable is so powerful, I'm kind of giving it significantly bigger tasks to do, which in my head is like significantly more chance for something to go off track somewhere along the line. And so, we're going to see kind of how that continues. So far, it's going really well. All right. So we have different engines. This is more about ProductiveBot, right? So we're really changing our positioning, but we're really looking at ourselves as the AI agent workspace. And so what we want to hear from you guys is how you're thinking about using your agents. And right now, the main things that we're really just doubling down on is getting Scout on the computer so that it could be like me on the computer with you, and you can just ask it like, how do I work with my agent? It's not about the technical stuff. It's like, I don't even know the use cases. I don't know what to do, where to go, what's the best way that people are doing things. So that's going to be really built into Scout. I think that this is like, not to make it about ProductiveBot, but making it about you guys are all experts in the stuff that you do. And I think that inherent knowledge, and we all hear the term training, how these guys are training the models, and then they come out with a new model because of training. That is your IP. Your IP is how you train your own model. And so we are inherently going to have a very good model around utilizing agents to have success because we have the data, right? You will have your own data, and that is going to protect you and build a moat for you if you start now, right? I know Jason attends a lot of these webinars. Jason built a CRM for roofing companies. His CRM, if he's about it, will have a lot of inherent knowledge about how to have success as a roofing company, right? So I want to reemphasize that because I don't think that pretty software or a pretty screen is going to be a competitive advantage. It used to be, right? It certainly does have its advantage. A good UX, good flow, and good thoughtful experience is very, very valuable. But I think long term, to really protect yourself in business, you got to have that inherent data and specialized knowledge that only you have, right? And so that's just a little bit of note there. Scout's going to be there and it's going to guide you anytime you need it. And there's a bunch of cool things that we're doing, but I want to keep this prezzo going. Okay, so this is really, really interesting. Definitely want to talk more about this, in the coming months. But the number one thing, AI is very unlikely right now in the US specifically. AI is right there with like politics in terms of like how people feel about it. And that does not, you want to use common sense when it comes to AI. And I don't know, nobody knows where it's really going to go. But here's what I do know is that this world runs on, in my opinion, focus units, kind of humans. So your focus unit right now for this hour or half hour has been spent on learning this. Your focus unit, how many focus units do you get a day, right? True focus units, right? You don't get that many. And I believe that the total focus unit demand in this world is huge, right? Focus unit to do marketing for me, focus unit to do a development, to look at the details. Like think about like, because there's a lack of focus unit, you get loopholes and you get inefficiencies. You get, people that just can't build a side hustle that they wish they could. The demand for focus units massively outweighs the availability for human focus units. I mean, and I've said this before, just think about how many humans you have on Earth, how many of them are capable to work, how many of them even have focus units. It's not that many. So AI is absolutely, in my opinion, required to make up some of that time, make up some of those focus units. And there's enough to go around for every human to have, I think, plenty of work. So I think that the other thing, so now that focus unit to me produces judgment and produces an understanding of what may happen. So for example, AI does not have consciousness. And I think consciousness is really the key word here of judgment, taste, because I know if I build it a certain way, what may happen as a result. AI doesn't have that. It has like clues that it can kind of think about what's going to happen. It can kind of have models, if this, then that, certainly. And it can get kind of good, but a true understanding of what may happen and what will happen, right, is still why the human needs to be involved. Because if every time a doctor does, like my wife works in the operating room, and some people's anatomy in certain veins are totally non-normal, right? So if you're doing surgery, you can't have it for the 1 out of 10 people that have a different structure to do surgery. Like the human has that judgment, right? Now AI obviously can assist and do a lot of things. I just believe that overall, in order for things to truly turn out well, you need that kind of mentality and a focus. All right. So last slide here, and then we're going to open it up to everybody, and I'm happy to share any insight on my workflow. So the playbook is I've gotten a lot of success using my two machines, my test mini, that's connected via Tailscale to my actual productive bot, and my productive bot has, I'm using the frontier models. You can obviously be smart about routing if you want. I think with Fable, you do want to almost just give it the reins after you spend a lot of time building out that plan. Unleash the model independently, so that's kind of letting it go and do its own thing. Use precise words. Deployed is incomplete. Design the product so you can review it safely. Harnesses, named artifacts, and use screenshots. Write everything down and kind of let your AI say, okay, use TotalRecall. Take the last 300, 400, 600 things that we've said, put it in a detailed summary doc, and then you can kind of like keep some of that. And then make sure you spend that frontier budget only where it changes the outcome. Otherwise, use your local models if you want, or ChatGPT 5.5 is still awesome. And I do want to say that I believe that that's we're going to lose that eventually. So right now you can get a lot of bang for your buck for $20 a month. And I think that's going to go away. So, all right. So looks like Rebecca's rejoining. I would love to open it up to questions. Anybody has tried Fable or see anything about my workflow, feel free to speak up.
So it's Rob here. Some people joined late and didn't see those first couple slides, but on your dev Mac and your test mini, I know you talked later in the stack. So the dev Mac obviously has OpenClaw, and I think you some other components on there, but then the test mini is going to have it's going to be a separate physical box with the OpenClaw, but it's going to have the Fable over there.
Great question. So that doesn't have any agents. It's all the agents in my ProductiveBot AI agent workspace is here, and it just connects to the mini. So basically here, I'm running through the entire install process and use case of using ProductiveBot.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you using kind of like a similar, do you have kind of a use case around that, right?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Yeah. And it also, like, this is to kind of test a new unit, because like when you get a ProductiveBot, you have to open up a unit, but you can actually run a lot of those tests and things on your own Mac mini. That's fine. Like, you don't have to do this workflow.
And thank you for throwing up the YouTube channel. I haven't been out there yet, but can you talk about, as of today, if someone was to order a ProductiveBot, I know you said you have enhanced the offering, the base offering since then. What does today's bot include?
It includes limited support online, like premium support with SCAS, all of the skills from the skill store, and it's just more integrated into the computer. So scouts in the computer, the doctor, update, kind of like analysis. So like right now, like kind of a little bit cool feature is you run the doctor, it'll give a full look at your computer, and then with one click, the doctor sends it to the local scout. So then the local scout can give you a fix. So it's right now, it's not about adding a lot of features, it's about making it a better experience. The onboarding experience has Scout now. We are having it so that it installs both Hermes Agent and OpenClaw. So both now, but like for current customers, you can still go to the skill store and get Hermes Agent. Like, this isn't like necessarily like different. It's just more integrated in the computer. And also, we're going to be doing a lot of updates. So now you can go to at the top of your guys' Macs, you see the clock and the calendar and some icons. So now you're going to see your ProductiveBot icon there, and you can click on it. It's going to open up the portal, and it's going to tell you if there's updates. So if we're going to be pushing updates, small updates regularly, and so those things are going to be now part of your experience.
Okay, just to confirm one last time, on your dev Mac, on a brand new ProductiveBot, let's say you did this dev Mac test mini, you have your OpenClaw, your skills, the Hermes Agent, and you installed Fable all on that dev Mac with the 16256.
Yeah, and Fable is running when you onboard in the wizard, you can pick Anthropic if you want to use that, and you just put your Anthropic key, and then it can use any Anthropic model.
Okay.
So basically, the Anthropic API key will allow you to use Opus, Fable, all of those. Yeah. It also, we do now have it come with Olama as well. If you want to run local models, already part of this.
So to continue the discussion, anybody else, tell us what you've done so far that has been useful for you.
So basically merging all of those workflows together. You know what I mean? It's like so you may start building out your app or tools. Then what's going to happen is you're going to hire a developer, right? Or, I mean, you may or may not, but if you do, your developer is going to build things out. So that's what happened with us. Like, we have a developer we brought on. I mean, we brought our developer on a while ago, but there was a lot of things that were inherently part of ProductiveBot that have now because that had to be merged, right? And so you have all these different systems and things. And when your productive bot can bring it all together, I mean, that is, in my opinion, massively valuable. I also applied for a grant. So a lot of people want to start businesses, right? So I applied for a grant using my productive bot, and it filled it out, and I got to the next round. I think there were 600 applicants, and I made the cut out of the semifinals, which is about 60. So I beat out hundreds of people. And this is for ultimately $75,000 that I get for my business. And then I use my productive bot again to fill out the second grant, right? The semifinal application. And so as my bot learns me, gets better, it like shortens the time to do anything. The other thing I did was like, I was like, man, I'm having these webinars and everybody's asking me for recordings, but I thought it was super like not okay to just share like the fireflies, like the raw fireflies recording. It just doesn't look good. So I spent a couple of hours and I built a system. And this is the difference between the chatting with the bot and actually having it do things for you. So now what I have it do is takes my recording, looks through the transcript, right? And then it says, look at all this dead space or unnecessary things in the transcript, trims that out, and it knows what time slots that was said. Then it goes to the video and then just trims the video out. And then I taught it how to access my YouTube channel, and I taught it what kind of thumbnail I want. I taught it how to understand what we do so that it goes through that transcript and makes a summary, a title, like all the pieces for a YouTube video. It'll create the thumbnail. And then, I mean, it took 3 or 4 hours, right? It wasn't like overnight, but like now, boom, 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 boom. And I think, I just think like if you set up your house the way you want it, you look at these restaurants, how are these restaurants laid out? It took a lot of work, but now that it's laid out a certain way, now the restaurant just brings in customers and customers are always happy. So if you take the time to learn how to use your bot, and I think this is why people that like, if you were competing with me on the job market, I mean, and you don't know how to use agents, I'm going to be 10x more valuable because of all of these skills that I have to use the agent. So any kind of system that you have like that, Rob, like for me, it was publishing the webinar or obviously developing the app or applying for the grant. Those are really great use cases for this technology. And you couldn't, there's just no way you could ever do that with just like the Chat GPT. And by the way, I love that I can switch because like GPT 5.6 is about to come out and it may be better than Fable, right? People are saying it's going to compete. So I love that I'm not like, a lot of people are like, well, I'm already using Claude Cowork or this or that. I love that. I'm like, I don't care what happens in the future. I want the best models and different things. So I may switch from Fable to 5.6 when they release it. I think in a couple weeks. We'll have to see. Does that answer your question, Rob?
Yeah, thank you.
Because like Rob, I know like we talked about it. Like I think it's a very good question because people are sometimes not sure how to use this technology, right? Because I mean, this is all so new. And I mean, if we go back in time, Rob, I would imagine people said the same thing about all major technology, right? It's like I know it's there. I get the concept that it automates and it does work, but like, what exactly can I do with it, or what's a good way to think about it, or to dip my toes in? So I definitely love that you asked that because I get it a lot from different people. Who else has a question? Jed, how you doing, man? Oh, it looks like his screen might have froze. Charles, I see a new face here. How are you? You're muted, by the
Okay.
way.
Well, Rob kind of clued me into this, so I appreciate let me sit in.
Absolutely. Jed might have froze out. Jed, can you hear me? You're muted.
They always say at the dinner table, when everybody gets quiet, the food must be good.
Sometimes when it gets quiet, I'm like, man, I hope I didn't cover too much ground.
Hey, Alex, I have a simple question. So when we're doing updates, should we all have access at this point to that update icon? Because I don't see it on my Mac Mini.
Not yet. I mean,
Okay.
I think you were an early beta tester, Dar. So fingers crossed that all of our testing goes well today.
Okay.
And then but updating it will be very straightforward. I mean, Dar, you went through the beta update, and I mean, it was pretty simple. It's not, it doesn't really.
No, it was just a copy and paste command in the terminal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Alex, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, this is the first time I've had audio issues on a Mac. Yeah, we've been doing some pretty cool stuff, Ryan and I. I pretty much kind of built out an entire system like for the back end of like a business, and it pretty much runs itself, to be honest. Cuts out like sending follow-up emails, and it uses local models in order to do it and everything. I mean, we're down to literally probably $100 a month, our total cost. It's pretty nice. I mean, it's outside of not having enough sleep to get it all done, right? And, you know, I'm talking to 3 Hermes bots and then a productive bot, and then that MacBook Pro that I built. And so my mother-in-law just got into town, and all she hears is ding, 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 ding across all my computers and everything. So, but we're working on 3 websites at the same time. We're doing all that, and then we're also working on like a small app that Ryan wanted to build, and it's almost done. So it's pretty cool how we kind of have this system set up. And you know, the one thing I kind of really want to touch on earlier that I heard whenever I couldn't speak was the beautiful part about all these frontier models coming out is that how open OpenClaw is and how open Hermes is, and as they do each update, how much more they're integrating and how easy that's going to be able to switch, right? You're starting to see a lot of these frontier models. I just got an email saying that my Sonnet was going to be deprecated, and they're saying they're moving to a new version of Sonnet. And you know, they're really starting to push people towards raising more money, it feels like, right? And it's I've had extreme success with Gemini Pro and GPT 5.5 and local models. I mean, it's done so well for me. Folder structure that we have built out is literally like the operation of an entire company. And that thing is just loaded with markdown files that I don't even know what's in there, to be honest, anymore. But it's really cool how it's set up. Now, the whole answering the phone thing, we still don't have a local phone system to answer it, but we can simulate it through Telnix, right? And it's just amazing how whenever the phone call comes in and people talk, how the local models kind of transcribe everything for you inside of I'm not going to call it a CRM. I'm going to call it an operational database.
Yeah.
Because that's really what it is. Like, it's just a bunch of databases on your computer that Hermes and OpenClaw is working within and spitting you information back, right? And I honestly think, to be honest, I think dashboards eventually are going to be just for like technical usage and to make sure certain things are going to be used going forward. Because once you start building out these types of systems, your bot's going to be able to give you anything that you could possibly need, to be honest. I mean, it's if I say, hey, give me the numbers from the last week, or, you know, how many total leads did we get in, or, you know, how many hours have all the developers worked, I'm going to be able to get that spit out to me right away instead of waiting on somebody and paying somebody to do that, right? And just the amount of time that I've spilt, pretty well, that's a Freudian slip, that I've spent on building, like, or, you know, putting out blogs. And I'm not going out and curating content anymore. I'm not going out and looking for content to create. What I have my bot doing is it's monitoring everything that we do. And then it knows not to put out any financial information, no client names, and no people's names outside of mine. And it goes out there and literally writes a blog every morning about our day.
Yep.
And I don't even touch it. I don't do anything with it. And it updates across all of our sites that we have. And you want to talk about the amount of space that you have as a human being that just got opened up from it doing that, right? I think many of these middlemen,
right? Your focus units, you get to choose where your focus units go.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I'm really starting to figure out is many of these, I'm not going to call them lower level because I don't believe nothing's lower level. I just think all these mundane, time consuming tasks in relation to technology is going to be taken over by technology, right?
Yeah, I
And
think I've
it's,
mentioned this to you, Jed. Remember that I told you, like, I was on, like, early on when I started ProductiveBot, it was like 5 a.m. and I was rushing to the office, and I thought that exact same thing. It was a rainy 5 a.m. I was so excited because, I mean, that's when I had to build so much so quick, right? And I'll never forget the aha moment when I'm like, man, in 10 years, Jed, they're going to be going, what? You sat down and wasted 3 hours of your day building a spreadsheet?
yeah.
Like, our time is our most valuable resource.
Yeah.
Why are people wasting it?
Yeah. Well, and here's the other side of it too. I'm driving down to Tesla, and if you take your damn eyes off the road when it auto drives, it beeps at you. Like I told my wife, I go, I now have two wives, one in the car and then one in the passenger seat, right? So
That's
I'm going down the road, and I've put in one of those phone holders now to where all I do is go through each one of my bots in Telegram, and I just instruct it what to do. And as I'm driving anywhere down here, literally my bot's working the entire time I'm driving. And if it's
oh
on
my,
auto drive, I mean, it's cool. Honestly,
I love that.
it
Uh,
frees up so much of my time.
I'm at the
And
gym, and like between sets, I built that whole YouTube, like the first 80% of that YouTube system
yeah,
while I'm
yeah.
at the gym, because I think about it while I'm doing something. I'm like, okay, that's how it could okay.
Well,
Do this and
well,
this and this, and then
well, you know what? So I put a project. It's not necessarily, it's an operational project, is what it is. I didn't put it in my everyday projects.
yeah.
I put an operational project in that every day I'm telling it the types of business decisions and the type of business things I'm doing. So it could constantly be creating markdown files for that. And then I can ask it at any time questions about how I'm doing business.
Hmm.
And it's
What's like
actually
a use
kind of,
case? What's like a
what's
use
that?
case? What's like a use case for that?
So one thing I did is whenever I was recently, I got to the point to where I used to eat tuna all the time, right? And this is just on a personal side. I used to eat tuna all the time. Whenever it came out that this stuff wasn't real canned tuna, right? A lot of it was. I really started to focus more on grass-fed beef, farm
Hmm.
raised fish. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Real stuff. Staying away from the canned stuff and everything else.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to the point because I'm so short and I'm chubby, right? So I'm getting to the point to where I'm trying to take care of myself. And so as I was telling it this, I was asking it, I was like, hey, what could help me do this? And next
Hmm.
thing you know, as I was in that project of my personal life, it's like, hey, it might be best if you do this, or if you cut this out during the day, or if you want to do this or this. It's like, hey, you know what? This would be a good idea for a piece of technology on your phone to remind you. I can remind you every day. So I'm having somebody kind of hold me accountable without me even knowing it. And I go, how cool would this be if I did this in my business?
Hmm. Yeah.
You have a business consultant that's better than anything you will ever pay
Yeah.
money for. And
Especially
so,
if it has that inherent knowledge.
well, and here's the thing, you can be upfront and honest with it too without somebody judging you.
The honesty is such a big topic around this whole agentic thing. Is I can truly tell the agent that is not good. You don't have to worry about its feelings being hurt or what. I mean, the only thing you have to worry about is it like being too agreeable. So you have maybe
Yeah.
sometimes you're wrong and you're telling it it's wrong, and it's like, okay, I'll do that. And so that, I mean, that's yeah, it's a pretty cool thing, Jed. I think you're right.
Could you imagine an elderly person needing something like that to talk to
Oh man.
for memory?
Oh dude, it's huge.
And
Like
so, like on the business side, like as I'm going through things and I'm like dealing with clients and I'm working through like a lot of the things that I'm doing, I just literally talk to one through my phone because it's connected through all my computers, right? And then I say, here's my daily business. Add this to the operational project. It's like today is such and such, and then I'm telling it what I'm doing. I'm even telling it the location, right? Punta Gorda, Florida, or Tampa, Florida, or St. Louis, or Cincinnati, and then what I'm hoping to do with that everyday data is for that bot to curate something business wise that I may not have thought of, right? And it's already starting to help because it's putting out blog posts that I didn't even think about, right? It's putting out like emails to like other clients, like said, hey, remember to do this.
yep.
And I'm not even telling it to do it, right? And it's very simple stuff, but imagine how much time that takes out of our day.
Yeah,
The only thing that yeah, go
I've
ahead,
used it
Rob.
real quick. I've used it for like, tell me the pros and cons of, like what you're telling me and stuff like that. And it just, will give a real in-depth description and, put like 5 items with pros, 5 items. And it's
Yeah.
like, damn, I didn't even think of that,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. It saves so much time, and energy, like you say.
I'm telling you,
Any
Rob, build yourself a folder to where you're communicating it like your business partner, and you're going to be surprised what it'll get back to you. You will be absolutely shocked what it'll get back to you. I'm talking finances, I'm talking marketing, advertising, I'm talking operations, I'm talking about seasonality type stuff in businesses. I mean, it's so on top of things that
Yep.
us as humans, we have so many other things going on. It doesn't have anything going on. All it has to do is read through a series of markdown files.
It also doesn't
Honestly.
get tired. It's like a
Yeah,
dog.
and
It's always excited to talk to.
Yeah. And so, I mean, if you're starting a business right now, the best thing that you could possibly ever do is get one of these and literally just start dumping everything in it operationally from the very beginning, and make sure it's all in Markdown, make sure it's all in an operational business folder structure, and you would be literally surprised what that thing will be able to do. I'm shocked every time I keep doing it. And the thing, one of the big problems that I have with Hermes claims to be a memory stud, but it's a dud. Like the bigger you get, Hermes has a lot of the same memory problems, right? And then it always goes, "Yeah, you were right." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know I was right. I just did it 3-4 days ago with you, right?" And so I think the more updates they make on Hermes, they're focusing more towards the products and not the actual the technology of what Hermes was intended to be honest, because it's not the same.
So Jay,
And
you brought up something real quick. So as a good practice, as we move forward, there's going to be memory for OpenClaw, and then conceptually, so we're going to then have a memory for Hermes, and then we're going to have a memory for like Fable. So as we're talking to them, is there going to be, they're going to have their own entities of memory that they'll refer to, or is it gonna, or can you create like a centralized memory that all your current and future agents can then reflect to?
yeah, that's what I would do.
I can jump in real quick. So Rob, just real quick, in terms of terminology, Fable is not the same category as Hermes and OpenClaw. So remember, Fable is the intelligence. The agent engine are OpenClaw and Hermes. So both Hermes or OpenClaw can have Fable powering their intelligence. And then in your mini, as Jed was saying, you have files, right, that you save like any computer, and both agents can access the same files.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
I'm having a direct message session with Hermes. My OpenClaw agent will not see that direct message session.
Mhm.
So what I do is there's times where I talk to them individually, and then there's times where I have a group session where I have both of them with me, and there's use cases for both of those.
Well, and what I would do in that situation too is I would make Hermes, what Hermes is really good at is managing workflows and building out agent workflows. It's fantastic at that, right? We talk about memory and all that, but I would have Hermes go out there and I would say, "Hey, make sure you build out a workflow to be able to access all these different agents and what they did, and in that centralized kind of like database," right? Because what we're doing with Ryan at Pizza World is they don't really have access to a lot of their sales unless it's on a dashboard, and then you have to do drop downs, and you have to manipulate the data like any other dashboard, right? Well, essentially I and Ryan got them to build an API, and they're a pretty good sized company. Why they didn't already have it, but now we have that API connected to our bots, and then all we got to do is have our data tied to our bots from our advertising campaigns, and then it literally one for one with all the database that we built for the pizza world is that it's going to be able to give us a feedback or an HTML document of a report combined with sales data, types of food, what products works the best, and then with the ads on what days were the best and everything else, right? And so that means a lot because we don't run on certain days and we only run at certain times of the day. And before he couldn't get any of that information, and now that API spits it out to us pretty quick.
Yeah.
And if you have a place to where you can centralize all that data, and that data that you get regurgitated back to you gets saved in a database, that memory in that database is only going to get stronger and stronger and stronger.
You have to be aware, just real quick on that, Rob, like you may have to build in certain rules, like recent data might be more valuable than older data unless it's about this. So and we will be building out a lot of things inside of the skill store to help kind of get you 80% of the way, like the 20% that covers 80%, you know what I mean? The 80-20. We'll be releasing a lot of kind of skills because that is one of the first things everybody's wanting to do. It is going to be part of, so we're going to, I want to conclude, because I know we're a little over time, but the knowledge base is one of the first things most people need to do. Jed is 100% spot on. And then there might be rules around that. That's going to be part of hopefully our onboarding flow. Like after you're set up with ProductiveBot, we're going to hope to guide you through some of the core essential things, and then you can evolve it like Jed and everybody else, like in your own way. But I love that focus. Do you want to quickly, Josh? I don't know if you're still with us, but did you want to do a quick intro on what you do and stuff like that? I know you're new to the webinar. I think Josh is on the phone, so I don't know if he's still able to hear. If not, you can do next time. Oh, I guess he's not. Well, we'll circle back on that. And then Charles, anything else about you? I know you're new to the group too. Anything about your use case or kind of what interests you about this topic?
Oh, I've just been dabbling in trying to learn a little bit more about AI, and Rob kind of got me excited about seeing what some more advanced usage has been. And I'm just kind of like sitting here in awe, of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, Charles, what do you do?
I'm retired. I used to work in IT for 36 years. Bob and I worked together in the past. So it was just kind of an alignment of interests. So
Yeah, perfect.
That's awesome, Charles. Yeah, if you have any other questions, feel free to join our community. Free to join. We try to post a lot of updates in there on what we're seeing in the industry, and obviously you're always welcome to join these weekly webinars.
great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. This webinar, guys, was definitely, in my opinion, a little bit more like in the nitty gritty and the technical and the setup. I do think, I was talking to Dar about this. I want to have two webinars, or maybe once a month, a more grassroots, like a more 101 webinar, because I think there's naturally so many people starting off. I don't know if sometimes they want to start off and go to like, here's the latest frontier model and how my stack looks. So I think we're going to do once a month let's talk about basics. What is a frontier model? What is the AI agent? So I think that like every time it's going to be the same like similar topics, and we'll make it a Q&A, but I'll keep you posted, Charles, because you're the majority of people fall in that bucket, like you, Charles, are dipping their toes. A lot of things are changing, but they don't know what. So I want to make sure we have a lot of room for you to ask questions as you kind of get involved and learn more.
Great.
Well, and real quick, one of the things too when it comes to people like dipping their toes in this is that almost everybody looks at AI as the chatbot.
True.
And that's where I'm really trying to help people. It's like, hey, this stuff really is a lot more than just talking to it and getting a response back, right? I mean, you could help it with your life. You can, run in everything in your life, but you can also help, like, especially in your business, and everything goes right towards business use. But it's just a different way of thinking than handing it to somebody and having it being done, right? Yeah. You're almost learning how to communicate again, and you're learning how to organize again, and you're learning how to manage things differently again.
Yeah, it's a total reset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
All right, guys. Oh, go ahead, Dar.
I think what people have a hard time with when they're new to this is that this is almost unlimited. And I think they just don't know how to really prompt and communicate with the bot, because they're thinking it's Google. Do you know what I mean? But it's so much larger than that. I feel like we need to give everyone, we're giving you permission to really, talk to it almost like a human being, or, as we've said before, a coworker, or, a work associate. So
yeah, I told my nephew, it's like, with him just getting into it, I was like, hey, I'm going to talk to you like you're a baby at first, and then tomorrow I'm going to talk to you like you're a 5-year-old, and then the third day, because he was here a week, and I go, I want you to make all the mistakes that I made so you can see what's going on, and I go, day 3 or 4, I'm going to show you how to do it. And he's left and went home, and he's using my bot here because his dad doesn't understand much about it, and I haven't gotten one phone call from him, and he's already built 2 things.
That's a great story. Thank you for sharing that earlier too. That's so neat.
Isn't that cool?
I love that.
I mean,
that makes
me
so happy.
I haven't heard from him. He hadn't had any issues. He's just talking into his phone and on his Telegram on his own computer.
And the thing is
that could be a new campaign slogan. Bots are for kids too.
Yes. And by the way, the opposite is also true. There's a friend of my wife's, she's like, my brother would love to work for you. He's looking for any opportunity. And I said, have him buy a mini. I'll even hook him up with a ProductiveBot system. Before I do all of that, have him install OpenClaw on his own without ProductiveBot so he can learn.
Yep.
You know, if he wanted to work for me, learn what it's like to not have a ProductiveBot.
Yep.
And then he you know, I had to follow up, and then his mom helped him buy a ProductiveBot, and my wife's friend, his sister, helped him kind of chip in to get the mini. I never heard from him. So I think the opposite happened there, where he just didn't have the motivation to see it through. And I'm obviously not able to chase him down, and like, you know, unlike your nephew, Jed, because I know you also kind of gave a little bit of guidance, but like, I don't have the bandwidth to do that, right?
Yeah.
But if you can stick with it and attend these webinars and learn, I think there's a lot of value. You just gotta, I don't know, I don't know how to interpret that. Maybe he needed a little bit more of a push.
Well, we've talked about this in the past. You know, we're really leapfrogging with the ProductiveBot solution, and we're kind of on the bleeding edge. I mean, we've been doing this a couple months, and it's, in the grand scheme of things, we're at the very forefront of this, the beginning of this, and it's just not consumer ready. Remember, we talked about that before. It's just not consumer ready, and when these people are diving in and they're frustrated, confused, you know, things like that, it's like DOS versus Windows, right? It's just not at a consumer ready level yet. So
yeah. Well, and did you talk to Ryan's sister about getting her one?
Shoot, I think he asked her, but I was gonna reach out to her on her Instagram. Yeah, I need to do that still. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go into too much of it, but if you realize like how big of a person she is on the internet right now, you just give her one tomorrow. Honestly.
Yeah, I'll just probably, for that kind of person, influencer. Yeah.
She makes more. She makes more in 1 month than all of us do in our lifetime.
Yeah, she's a big deal.
I'm not joking you.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable what she's doing.
I stopped by Ryan's business and he was telling me a little bit about it. I was like, that's unbelievable, man. Good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the space. And right now, obviously, like Rob was saying, we have a lot of customers, but I really have gotten so much feedback on that, Rob, like you're saying, like guidance from the start. If you open it or somebody else opens it, how can that scout right there help you figure things out? I think that's what
your scout solution is absolutely number one. I mean, you know, I've put so many questions into that and gotten answers and been able to feel like you know, I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm drinking out of a fire hose, right? But Scout has let me be able to take a couple of gulps successfully, right? And it's just been amazing. So that's what I'm saying. These other people are jumping in. I don't know how they're doing it. I just don't know how. It's just too complicated. And like Jed said, how many 3 straight days, 72 straight hours trying to get anywhere close to what you have created.
Dude, at a certain point, my wife was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like,
"Who are you talking to?"
This out.
Who are you talking to? What's her name?
Yeah, and I was getting so damn frustrated with it, and I didn't got to the security part yet.
Yeah,
you know, and I'm like, there has to be a better way, and it's like you just got to get one of these and just start working in it. You know what I mean? And because there's nobody that's going to set for that long to put this together. There's no way.
That's where I think you might be losing some of your, you know, your clientele. I mean, you've got a good solution, but you also have to have that focus too. So, and you just, and you have to, I'm finding, you know, I have to try to be behind it every day as I start just losing a little bit of focus. And so that's where I'm really struggling, is making sure I sit behind it every day.
That's interesting, Rob. Because I relate to that. When I was out of town, I kind of had to get back up to speed with my motions. You found that too. That's a really good point.
Yeah, I'm out in the field working with my hands all day long. So I need, you know, this is it's a blessing, you know, to be able to come home and change your frame of mind. I find if I happen to, well, I've just had a really busy life lately. A dad passed away, the week-long flu, which now they're thinking might be some sort of bacteria that's gotten to the United States. And then a child marriage and a new grandbaby. So it's been pulled a lot of different directions. But I find if I don't sit down behind it for a couple of days, you know, it's just important. You just got to be active and participatory with it. So, but
I love that you said that, Rob, because I really can relate. Just because I got a flu, I was on traveling, and then I had to merge the old system with the new system, and that took a lot of work, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without the ProductiveBot. I'm like, everything that we've done, here's the new repository code, bring it. Like it did take me a couple of days, and then obviously now it's moving so quickly, and it's like people don't understand that groundwork and time. So that's you know, what you make me think about, Rob, is like that is a true use case, is the
Sure.
busyness and then getting back into it. And I'm inspired by what Jed said, because he's got his systems now set up where they're kind of working every day, but Jed had to set all that up too. So I don't know how we'll solve that, but it's very interesting to think about.
Yeah. And then one thing I would do, Rob, just to keep yourself into it, is do what I'm doing on an operational side. Like, because you're in the roofing industry, right?
No, I'm in home repair.
Home repair. So everything you're doing, do the what do you call it? This old house approach to the ProductiveBot, right? Everything you're doing every day, say, hey, up my operational project, and then as you're going through there, put the specific type of flooring or things and just talk to it.
And
It's
even
between
that's
you
a good
two.
idea to do like a review of the day, at the end.
Yeah.
Talk to it,
Yeah.
tell every appointment what you've done and what your challenges were, what your good points were, and then just let it build on those. That's a great point too.
Well, and one thing I'll leave you with, just because we're not talking forever, but, and you can do this, they have them. Imagine in your industry, once you build out all that communication every day, you have a Home Depot or a Lowe's API connected to where you know what you need to order the next time per square foot and everything else. And it does everything for you price wise, right? And that's what we're starting to do, is we're starting to connect those APIs to where we're getting that data to where we don't have to go out and fetch it.
That's awesome.
It's really cool.
Well, today is a great day. Thank you, Alex, for all your hard work and getting this going, and appreciate it.
Yeah, great guys. Great talking to everybody. I know we're a little over on time, but we'll post the video all trimmed up in the channel if you want to watch it again. But other than that, we'll see you guys next week, same time.
All right. Peace.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.